Cengiz Demirci is a park manager tasked with bringing order to Görlitzer Park, infamous for its drug dealing. Many of the dealers are refugees from African countries. There's occasional violence that sometimes turns deadly. A few years ago, police introduced a zero-tolerance scheme, but to no avail. The new idea is to try dialogue and communication with Cengiz Demirci's help.
I love this park.
Why is that?
Because it's so varied.
Every day, Cengiz Demirci checks out the situation. He's been doing this for a year and a half. Initially, he was a bit reluctant to speak with the dealers directly, but now he knows them well, and they know him.
There are many blacks here. It's their community. Some of them sell. It's normal. Look, now you're here, so they're disappearing.
If they stay in the park, Cengiz says they have to follow the rules. In the past, the police tried to rid the park of dealers, in vain.
Everything okay? Have you calmed down? The guys here don't have any prospects because they don't have residence permits in Germany. So they don't have work permits. If they can't work, they need to find money somehow. They have to pay off debts they still have from Africa. They give money to their families. So there's a lot of pressure on them. Sometimes they're aggressive because they've gone through a lot. I mean, they've risked their lives.
Görlitzer Park in Berlin's Kreuzberg district is nicknamed Görli. Lots of people just hang out here. The general vibe is just to let people do their thing. Many are not that surprised that the police's zero-tolerance strategy failed. There's a little farm for children in this park, and not far away, the whiff of marijuana.
I don't really mind them when I'm here on my own. But when I'm working or here with my kids, it's a bit strange to have to explain what they're doing. I get asked, what's that smell, or what are they doing? And that's awkward.
3 years ago, Caroline Kohlmeier set up the Kreutzer Youth Center. In the afternoon, after school, she takes care of refugee and Roma children and teaches them how to deal with drug dealers and drug users.
Of course, it's annoying that many people here think it's a lawless zone because they sit here with their children and children are offered drugs. Not ours, thank God, but there are a lot of stoned people here. That's a real shame. But it's better now because of the park keepers.
Also thanks to Cengiz Demirci. The trained psychologist competed against 75 other applicants for the job, which was advertised all over Europe. He meets the other park keepers in his office. There are 4 at the moment, but the plan is to employ more in the future. Solo is from Guinea and speaks 10 languages. This helps him explain the new rules to the dealers. Rule number 1, aggressive behavior is forbidden.
We have to be more visible. We don't always have to be everywhere, though. We've got bikes. It takes 5 minutes to get to the other side of the park with a bike. And if you go around, it takes 20 minutes. So you can actually monitor everything here. And that's important.
There's suddenly a dispute. Abu comes by and explains that a group from Guinea don't want people to roll joints in the park. They don't want any hassle with the police. The park keepers go out to find them, but they've disappeared. Cengiz and Solo just want the dealers to understand that they might be tolerated here, but that the park doesn't belong to them. They've tried to set up an appointment, but it's hard to get to some of the dealers because they don't want to talk.
If these people don't understand that we want to work with them, how they have to behave, then we have to be strict and show them what the limits are. If that doesn't work, the people who don't show any respect have to leave the park. Don't just run away next time.
Abu turns up a couple of hours later. He's one of Görli's problem cases.
You need to get out of Görlitzer Park, my friend.
That's right, but I know people who come here. 7 years without an apartment. You know the problem, sleeping in a different place every time, having to leave in the morning.
You've got to show that you have a stable life, that you're working, that you're earning your own money, that you have an apartment. This is the problem that we have. Not only you. Everyone here has the same problem. People come here, want to live in Germany, but it's not that easy in this country.
Abu currently has a tolerated status in Germany. That means his deportation has been postponed. And unlike most other refugees, he is allowed to work. But he can't find a job, he says. He too has sold drugs here before. When Abu came to Germany from Guinea 10 years ago, he was hoping for a normal life, work and a family. But his dream turned into a nightmare. His relationship with a German girlfriend failed. Now one of his 2 children is in a foster family, and he's only allowed to see the child once a month.
How can you live like this? How? I don't have a real apartment. I'm here today, there tomorrow. Next day I'm somewhere else. But that's what God has planned for me.
Hotspot Patrol 53 comes here every day. They work closely with the park manager, and the new name of the game is de-escalation instead of confrontation. The officers have been trained to act and think differently. Frank Schönheit explains.
We'll go through the park now and take a look at the hotspots.
The police say the park has become safer. There is much more lighting, and the bushes where the drugs are hidden have been trimmed. The police wear fluorescent clothing to be more visible, to try to prevent the sale and use of drugs, which is illegal. Sometimes there are violent altercations when the police make their rounds.
People who are upset are using alcohol or drugs. All these things can affect your police work. This becomes a problem because the atmosphere heats up. And as a small group of police officers in front of a group of 20 to 25 people, you get a bit queasy.
They rarely arrest dealers. Berlin's laws allow people to have 15 grams of marijuana for their own consumption. Dealers rarely have more than 15 grams on them.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. How was it?
It was pretty manageable in the park today because of the weather. But if the weather is great again tomorrow, then we're going to have a full house.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then we'll come to you so you can help us out.
Yeah, right. We're helping each other.
What's good is that we have a contact now if problems arise. Someone we can call if something comes up.
I used to have to call the emergency number, and now I can just call him directly. Even if he's playing golf, he answers.
Some locals who don't like the dealers are leaving the area. Many of those who stay think that politicians have to help refugees find another way of earning a living, not through crime.
Of course, you sometimes ask, why are you doing this? Where are you from? These stories are interesting, but sometimes they're sad, because you wish they would come here find another way into society and another way of making a living.
Cengiz and his park keepers have a lot of work to do in the evenings, especially when it's warm and the park is full. They have to deal with complaints about noise, sexual harassment or pushy dealing. Cengiz wants to make it clear to dealers that all of this is strictly forbidden. He also wants minors to be left in peace. He's even more motivated by the fact that he has a teenage son. Cengiz also wants to create completely drug-free zones in the park, with workshops and leisure spaces for the refugees.
There is still work to be done. The kids will benefit. There'll be food, there'll be a bike workshop, a furniture workshop. They can try out anything they like. They might even invent girly souvenirs to sell instead of drugs. Maybe they'll make wooden trays that say Girly 2018 and sell them for 15 euros. If you sell that to 20 tourists, you already have some money. Anyway, the idea is to never give up, even if I sometimes do tear my hair out.
Auch wenn es zu viele graue Haare kostet. Ja, nicht aufgeben.
It's late, almost 11 at night. Time to knock off. But Cengiz will be back in the park at 6 in the morning.